Okay, it's now time for the next step. We've decided what we're doing, we've set the scene, then we've made a prediction, and we've decided what variables we're going to use. So what happens next? We do a method. Now a method should be clear and it should be a step-by-step account of what to do, almost like a recipe. Right, so what do we do in the method? Well, we have to tell everyone exactly how to do the activity. Make sure you tell me what equipment you use, how much chemical you use, everything detailed. It's almost like a recipe. I should be able to hand your method to anyone and they can do the activity without asking questions. Whenever we do an activity, we should always make sure we tell the reader what equipment we use. So might I suggest, before your experiment, you make a list of all the equipment and, no, capitals, and chemicals. This is important. So your equipment should be the right equipment for the job. If you are going to measure liquids, you should tell me measuring cylinder. All these things. If you are going to use a diagram or photo, make sure it's of everything set up as it should be, not just a photo of the equipment piece by piece. All right? You are trying to make sure the reader understands. That is your goal. When you make your list, make sure you tell me how many. How many beakers are you going to use? All right? Tell me how big they are. Now, we went through this before in terms of variables. Container size and container numbers are important. If they are control variables, we must tell that. So don't be frightened to give the details. Details are super important and you must make sure they are there. If you are using chemicals, the name, symbol, and most importantly, the concentration. So if you are using 1M acid, write 1M acid. If you are using 2M acid, put it down. 3M acid. Be as specific as you can. Don't forget, a method is really full of actions. What do you want me to do and how do you want me to do it? What am I looking for? Right? And how am I going to show the reader what I've found out? How am I going to present my data? Don't forget to talk about waste management as well. I'll go in a bit more of that in a moment. So you should be looking at words, action words, verbs. Accurately weigh, carefully pour, gently heat, boil, any sort of thing like this needs to be there. Right, we've got to the stage of looking at this, so why not try something like this? Let's start off with an action and then tell it what we're using. So you're looking at the equipment. So I could do something like, why not accurately weigh 3 grams of sodium chloride using an electronic balance? Is that telling the reader what you're doing and how you're doing it? I think so. So that would be really, really good. Now, near the final one, we must remember to do something like this, and I'm just going to put a number 13 here, and I'm going to say carefully dispose of all waste materials. Now notice I've just done general waste. Now by that I mean things like chemicals go in the chemical waste, biology waste have to be looked and disposed of very carefully, so we need to listen and we need to tell the reader that. Somewhere in between, why not something like, let's say number 8, record all data in a table. Because you're telling me what you're doing and how you're doing it. Still stays there. So make sure you are full of specific details. It is like a super big recipe. So I need to know all of these things so I can do the same experiment.